Welcome to this episode of My Ramblings. Is China actually a communist country? Well, the definition of communism is that the community, well, one definition is that the community owns all of the resources, the land, the water, the air, means of production, and so on. Um, so, if we think back, China a bunch of years ago began experimenting with capitalism in their Shanghai province. Today, there are many large corporations in China. They're international, they're profitable, and they're worldwide competitors. So, um, what does the leader of China say? Does Xi Jinping say China is communist? Xi Jinping says China is socialist, that they rely on and derive from the theories and writings of Karl Marx and Joseph Lenin. And socialism is sort of a political system where, the government owns everything, I guess by implication, the people own everything. But what does China actually look like? China looks like a giant corporation. Instead of a country, they're a giant corporation. And the Communist Party actually is the board of directors, its officers, and the members of the Chinese Communist Party manage this giant Chinese corporation. And all these other Chinese corporations, these international operating companies, are actually subsidiaries of the giant China. And these Chinese corporations are these subsidiaries are subject to the policies and mandates of big China Incorporated. Okay, so the Communist Party is really just communist in name. They actually run and manage China Incorporated. But it does beg a question about the United States. Is the United States socialist or communist, or are we in danger of becoming so? Well, we have an EPA, we have a Clean Water Act, we have the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we have the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and we have the Federal Aviation Administration, which is the FAA. So the question I'll ask is, does having an EPA, is it the same thing as saying that the air is owned by everyone? Everyone in the water. Does everybody own the water? When the U.S. government regulates the safety of food processing and requires the listing of ingredients, or when the Federal Aviation Administration says when and how planes can fly, are we sort of implying, are we saying that the government thus owns the means of production, that such things are community property? Well, the answer to each and every one of those issues is the same. So let's take the issue of air pollution. Okay, we have an EPA. Does that mean everybody owns the air? It's actually what it is. It's there because there's a conflict of the rights of various groups. You have a business that wants to operate as cost effectively as it can, and that would mean that probably they have to pollute the air, to keep their profits up. Okay, well, the rest of us, any one individual or any community, has a right not to be harmed by polluted air. So what the government does with the EPA is, it's instead of the massive power of a business compared to the minimal power of an individual in asserting their rights, the government sort of acts as an equalizer, levels the playing field, it levels the seesaw of power, so to speak, so that one party, due to their immense power, isn't able to abridge the rights of another. And I think the same answer applies to each of these regulatory agencies that we have. It's balancing the rights of people who otherwise wouldn't have a chance to really defend their rights. And when you stop to think about it, with China Incorporated having vastly more resources than any one single U.S. corporation, We ought to be glad that we have our government to act as a mediator to balance the rights of Big China Incorporated and to help ensure that there's a leveling of the playing field, a leveling of the seesaw, if you will, the power seesaw. So again, that's about it. If you were amused, entertained, enlightened, liked the video, or even if you didn't like the video, please hit the like button below. And thank you for tuning in.